This is CB Up for Discussion, a podcast series from Community Business where we tackle DE&I and wellbeing hot topics with special guests from across Asia.
Hi, my name is Janet Ledger and I'm the CEO of Community Business, and I will be your podcast host for today's episode. It's a particularly special episode as this week we have International Women's Day. So today we're up for discussion with Ron Sampaga, our very own Senior Manager Consulting, Training and Campaigns. Ron brings his extensive experience in leadership communication and recruitment to his role. With a Bachelor of Arts in Mass Communication and over 14 years in learning and development, Ron has tailored programs that foster awareness on bias and allyship while embracing and enhancing employee engagement. He is a certified DISC trainer and life coach who delivers impactful training sessions both in person and virtually across various markets in Asia. Fluent in English and Filipino, Ron's engaging style makes him a sought-after speaker, and we're proud to have him as part of the Community Business team. So welcome, Ron.
Thanks, Janet. Thanks for that introduction, and I'm happy to be here at our Up for Discussion.
You're very welcome. So it's great to be talking to you about it. So, because this is a program we're all very passionate about. So, you're deeply involved in Community Business's Inclusive Leadership Program. So to start, what is inclusive leadership? Why is it so critical, especially on a day like an International Women's Day?
That's a very good question, Janet. Inclusive leadership is about creating environment when everyone feels valued, respected. People can be themselves, right? Being their authentic self, and has a genuine opportunity to contribute and advance. This month, we are celebrating the International Women's Day. We highlighted the need for inclusive leadership because women have often been excluded from leadership roles, or their voices been ignored. It's about breaking down these barriers and creating a fairer environment for everyone. Actually, a few days ago, I read a news saying that it's actually the first time that women occupy more than 1 in 5 seats on the boards of Hong Kong-based companies. However, reports indicate that there are still significant gaps, right, in senior management roles and pay equity. That's why inclusive leadership is very essential. And this is not only for women. It's basically inclusive leadership is about everyone, right, including the minority groups. It's about recognizing and celebrating the diverse perspective and experiences each person's bring.
Yeah, and I think in a lot of the rhetoric that's going around at the moment, the message around inclusive practices are for everybody seems to be getting lost in the messaging. So can you just tell us what inspired Community Business to develop this inclusive leadership program?
Definitely, Community Business has been a leader in promoting diversity and inclusion in Asia. We notice a need for the program like this. It actually helps leaders to gain skills and create truly inclusive workplaces. Our goal is just to go beyond just discussing diversity and empower leaders to take action. Actually, Janet, this one has there's a personal touch on this inclusive leadership. Within community business, I'm very happy to be involved with this, especially when I'm a Filipino. I grew up in the Philippines. I've studied in the Philippines, moving to Hong Kong. I don't even know what's inclusive leadership before, but just to share my experience before, I'm very lucky to be part of an organization on where when we're having a meeting, they all speak in Cantonese, but my boss stopped the meeting and says that, oh, we have Ron here, in our meeting, that he doesn't really understand what we're talking about. Can we just step back a little bit? Let's take some time to translate that to him. And I feel that I feel belong within the organization. I feel belong with the conversation. And through this, I feel that it's really important to have this kind of program to everyone. And at the same time, I feel that this is really a great chance for people to learn from different people in different industries, that they can actually network. And I feel that this is a rare opportunity. Not everyone can really have this kind of opportunity to learn from a different view of what are the best practices from other industries, what there are the experience of other people that actually you may apply when you work with your team, right?
Mm.
So we would like to use this as a platform for them to explore and explore and discover different side of themselves when it comes to leadership. So,
Mm.
and lastly, um, for my last 14 years that I provide training in Asia Pacific, I feel that not everyone have the chance to be trained. It can be not included leadership, but in different types of training. And this is a chance for the organization to nominate promising leaders to attend the program.
So that's great. I mean, these are always the sorts of programs that are just so great for people, depending on what part of their career they're in, and and I think if you're also, I mean, the answer around inclusive work practices is, I mean, it's complex in terms of there's lots of things that you could be doing, but a lot of the times people don't understand what inclusive leadership means. So it's great that we've developed this program. So tell us a little bit more about the structure of the program.
When we, crafted the initial draft of this program, we're like, oh, what are the things that a leader should really understand or should really need to know about this program? And we've been doing a lot of inclusive leadership program to different organizations as well. And we heard their feedback. We heard their, what are maybe the barriers that they're actually facing. And collect all those feedback and opinion to this program to make it very connected to the participants. So here we will start more on discovering their strengths, basically, to find out their current and ideal leadership style, along with the areas for improvement in inclusion, right? Get helpful feedback from peers in different industries to boost their leadership skills and basically understand their impact to themselves and at the same time to their team. And we would love to use this inclusive leadership, to have this maybe strategies, best practices, which is very simple. We don't want it to make it very complex because we want them to use it right away, right? When they're speaking with their team or to their organization, and analyze and practice real leadership scenarios to inspire own approach. Basically, when they have the chance to network from other people from other industries, right? They actually learn something from there and they can apply within their industry. And the most special thing about this program is they really can expand their network, right? Connecting with participants from various industries who share the same commitment, right? We're talking about inclusion and building the kind of support network for future collaboration and growth. So if you notice here, our program is really starts from themselves, share their perspective, share their experiences, learn from other people, and have that kind of collective inspiration from it, and use that when you go back to your organization, when you go back to your team, and hopefully that will help you to have a better communication, better management styles after the training, attending this inclusive leadership program.
Yeah, because I mean, quite often I know with all the best intent, organisations have great policies, but sometimes the leaders who are in the line roles don't necessarily feel equipped to apply those, and to also, particularly with a diverse workforce. So it's great, I know we've sort of structured this to help give them that kind of support. Just in terms of challenges, so what are the sorts of challenges that we've uncovered that leaders face when they're actually trying to create more inclusive workplaces, particularly in the Asian context? Because I know that's been a consideration in the development of the program.
Exactly. It really plays a part that, like for us here, where we're a community business, we're based here in Hong Kong, at the same time in India, we work with different clients, not only in Asia Pacific, but at the same time in Europe and in the USA. But if you notice, particularly in an Asian context, there's one of the big challenge actually, because we have this changing deep-rooted cultural norms, right? In some Asian culture, there's a strong focus on hierarchy and conformity. making it hard to challenge the status quo. Another challenge that I am seeing is actually recognizing and addressing unconscious biases, which can be hard to spot, right? That's why we
Mm,
always ask on the training, are you conscious with your unconscious bias, right? And I feel that creating psychological safety in teams is also difficult. It sounds easy to say, okay, we need to have a safe space for everyone, but I feel that everyone needs to feel safe to share their ideas, right? Being their authentic
mm,
self. Because I feel like in a changing work landscape right now, everyone is diverse, everyone wants to be included, right? But how can we give that space for them to really
mm,
share the right ideas? Finally, Asia itself, is very diverse. Diversity is a
mm,
challenge. What works in maybe in one market may not work in another
mm,
market, right? Same thing. What work maybe in one particular industry may not work in another industry.
mm,
But sometimes we are actually surprised. We think that way, but sometimes even though we think that it will not work in this particular industry, but you may be surprised that it may actually work. That's
mm.
why having this kind of different industry, different experiences of our participants joining in one space will definitely, hopefully, that kind of challenge that we'll be facing will dramatically change that to a positive outcome later on.
Mm. Thank you. So, what advice would you take, or what advice, sorry, would you give to leaders who are just starting out on their journey towards being a more inclusive leader?
I would say it really starts from us, right? Start with self-reflection. I would say that understanding your own biases and assumptions, be open to feedback and ready to learn from others. I would say it's not only for you to provide feedback, but at the same time, how you receive feedback from other people.
Mm,
Most importantly is being authentic, right? If you would love to have this kind of inclusive leadership, it really be authentic. People can actually easily sense insincerity. So that's
mm,
why being authentic is very important. It all begins with us,
mm,
basically. Inclusive leadership is not just about guiding a team, but it's about your own growth and understanding.
mm.
So leadership starts within us.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I mean, I think that bias and unconscious bias is something that's often can be demonized, and I don't feel it is something that should be demonized because it's the natural human condition to have your own preferences and your own biases. It's how we function in life.
Mm-hmm.
So, understanding where those might be either blocking you or blocking how you show up for others is certainly something really important. Like I know, having done when I was doing my studies and also in my previous organisation, we did a fair bit of work digging in around our own unconscious biases, and it's quite surprising when you're confronted with those. And I think, but starting with your self-reflection is important, because I think when you do start to gain some sort of awareness around what those biases might be, you can take some action.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Now, turning to International Women's Day, how can inclusive leadership contribute to achieving gender equality in the workplace?
I would say is about actively and consistently create opportunities for women to advance, ensure that our voices are heard. We challenge gender stereotypes. Inclusive leadership understand that gender equality is a business necessity that benefits everyone. Um, when I attended D&I Summit recently, even for some conferences in Hong Kong, they always talk about intersectionality, right? Like, for example, women have diverse experiences based on their race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, and socioeconomic status. We need to celebrate these differences and uplift marginalized voices. You don't need to be part of that community, yeah, to be, let's say, an ally or to support
Hmm?
something. International Women's Day is actually for everyone. We need to involve men, right? Men should engage in events, listen to women's experiences, find ways to be a better allies, use your voice to advocate for gender equality. Especially for myself personally, I'm have a good relationship with with my mom and my sister. By understanding the way they think, maybe why they do things like that, why they're acting this way, we could actually I can actually resonate that. And when I work in organization, I can bring that aspect that, okay, I have this kind of relationship with my mom because of my mom, how she thinks. Even in my sister, I apply that in my daily life. So let's involve men. Let's involve everyone. Actually, it's not only about it's International Women's Day. It's only for women. Everyone can be involved in this. And it's not only about celebrating it every for the month of March, but I would say we need to have that kind of sustaining efforts beyond International Women's Day. Our commitment to gender equality should extend beyond a single day and
Mm.
work towards a more inclusive and equitable workplace every day and practice thoughtful allyship. We need to stay curious. We need to stay aware of what's currently happening, and then bit by bit, share experience to other people and learn from other people' experience as well.
Mm. Yeah, I couldn't. I think it's so important that men are on the journey around gender equality, because it's only going to happen when that's the case. Because I think we all benefit when you lift
Mhm.
women up. And it's sort of and so yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think more men that are involved and our allies, the better. One other point, I guess I sort of think if I reflect on International Women's Day as well, is around making sure that we compensate fairly for like
Mhm.
we know that we do know globally that there's quite large there's still gaps. So I think it's important to recognise that as well in terms of International Women's Day. So, but yeah, lots of food for thought there. Just back on the program then. So if someone is listening and they'd like to sign up for the program, how would you do that? And what are the costs, or are there any discounts associated with the program?
Basically, the first thing is, check the details in our website. Sign up on our website. We normally put their link for us, if you would like to register to get to know a little bit more about the program. You can actually register there, and we're happy to discuss that further, maybe on the call. We also gonna be inputting the link. Will be in the text of this podcast. We will be adding that. Standard pricing for this inclusive leadership program will be $3,500 per participants. However, we will provide an early bird discount until this end of this month, March 31. We will provide 10% as early bird discount. For those people, let's say two or more participants from an organization, we will provide 15% discount. And at the same time, community business network members, they will have 20% discount. And this is actually a great news. We will offer a special offer to nonprofit organizations who will be participating on this program. We will give them that kind of offer, and then feel free to reach to us, and we're happy to let you know more about the details of this program.
Thanks, Ron, and thanks for sharing. I mean, this is an important offering for us because I guess we've understand that organisations may not be in a position to invest in large group programs such as this. But the real beauty of this will be that network that it creates, or that community it creates, that's cross industry. So by all means, please do reach out to Ron and the team if you're interested in more details on our program. Happy International Women's Day, but let's keep the work up beyond International Women's Day. And finally, Ron, thank you so much for joining us up for discussion today to talk about our new program.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and so I'm so happy to be part of this for discussion and talk about inclusive leadership.
Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to CB Up for Discussion. For more information about our work across Asia, head to the Community Business website.